But to me, it's like, oh, I can really do something with this. And certainly going to China and going to the places that I go to, there's something that you experience yourself. Okay, so I was just in China in March doing research for the new book. And I stayed the beginning was in Beijing, the end was in Shanghai, or the other way around. And in the middle, I was out in this small village where I had been invited with another friend to stay in this 17th century villa with 29 bedrooms. Doesn't it sound glamorous? Let me tell you something. A 17th century villa in the middle of nowhere in China is not like a 17th century villa in Tuscany. So, no indoor plumbing, no heat, whatever. But here was the thing. I mean, it was fabulous. It was just cold. It was really, really cold. But you know how so often in Chinese movies, like Raise the Red Lantern, or in Chinese novels, you always hear, oh, the master, he went down to see the concubine, and everybody heard when his footsteps. You want to know why? Because those houses are just made out of wood and no nails or anything, and no windows and no, insulation. It's just somebody could sneeze 3 or 4 rooms over and we would hear it. The next morning, there were 4 of us, and the next morning we'd say, oh, yeah, Lou, I heard when you got up and went out to the bathroom. It's like, yep, because you could hear every footstep. So, you could read about that, but to actually experience it and see it for yourself is completely different, and what the rhythm is like in a house like that, and how actually very beautiful they are, something that old, but also kind of rickety. Yes?
First of all, I read your book, This Shanghai Girls. I couldn't put it down, so thank you for that. Okay, I'll pay you later for saying that. Thank you. She couldn't put it down. She read it. She just couldn't put it down. For those of you in the back who didn't hear. That's my first book of yours that I've read, and this lovely lady next to me has been telling me I absolutely have to read Snowflower. But I grew up in Los Angeles, as did my parents, and I was very interested in the China City mention. But now I would like to do the Lisa C. family tour. So you've got Fong's gift shop still in existence?
Yes.
And what is the name of the Pasadena?
Well, first, the other one in Chinatown is called FC On, so like F period SEEON, and a separate word ON. And then the one and that's the second family store, and then the original store is in Pasadena. And this is, one, I don't know how they've been able to stay in business not selling anything, but also with these impossible names. So this one is the F period Sui One, SUIE, new word ONE company. Yes.
Thank you.
I should warn her, I think I told you this before too, when I went to visit there. Like, you get scared off because he's only got certain hours he's open. Like 11 o'clock, or it says, come back then. And then you have to ring the doorbell because all the lights are off. And you don't think anybody's in there.
And probably they aren't. That's the other thing. They have very,
the lights,
and they do have very odd hours, like never. They will even say Wednesdays through Saturdays, 12 to 5. No, not really. So yeah, it's best to call ahead because they're, and I know like Fong's gift shop right now is only open on Saturdays from something like 11 to 5. So, forget what it says on the door. That's just a big old lie. Okay, I don't want to neglect you people behind me. Yes?
Have you ever thought about writing something more modern China, like from 50s and all the way to now?
So have I thought about writing anything about modern China from the 50s all the way to now? And actually I did do a series of 3 mysteries that started in, I think, 1995, and probably the last one was about 2000, 2001. And here's the really, this is not part of your question, but I don't go back and read my books. Why would I? I wrote it. I don't need to read it again, and I don't even like to read at a reading. they always say, it's time for the reading. It's like, okay, I'm going to talk to you instead. So I don't read them, but one of the nice things that happened out of the success of Snowflower was they went back and they republished those mysteries. And they put really pretty jackets on them. If they'd put those jackets on originally, somebody might have bought them. Anyway, so they came in the mail, and, this is about a year and a half ago. They came in the mail, and I was flipping through. And they were like, I wrote that? I mean, it was kind of funny. Like, I forgot that I'd written parts of it. But then when I was just in China, and these mostly take place in Beijing and then in the countryside, and so, but it had been 10 years since I'd been there to Beijing, and I only recognized 3 places. Everything else was changed. And so I realized that these books that take place in contemporary China only 10 years ago now, they're like this snapshot of this one moment in time that has already long, long gone. It was really surprised me. That was kind of, yes.
Would you like living in China?
Would I like living in China? Not in the summer. It's too hot. Yeah, maybe one of these days. Yes, I think so, but it would have to be the right place because I'm not really big on big. I mean, I live in Los Angeles. I don't like big cities. Go figure. But I'm not really wild about big cities. But I really love the countryside, and so.
As the culture and the people and this is.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, I would love that.
The reason I'm asking is because a friend of mine lived in China for a number of years, and then she came to live in France, and she hates it. She says, I want to go back to China. I really don't like the Western mentality. And she's a Western. I mean, she's not Chinese or Eastern or anything. And she said she would prefer living in China, and she's doing everything to go back.
Okay, so she had a friend who lived in China for a long time and then moved to France, and she would rather live in China than in France. I can sum it up in one word: the food's better. The food's better, I think. But the food's better. Okay, anyone else? Yes.
How much time did you spend in Shanxi province when you were doing your Red Princess mystery?
I don't remember that. That was a long time. Let's see.
Because those Red Princess seem very current. They don't seem like you wrote them 10
Well,
years
I know,
ago.
but that's what I'm saying is that if you went there to Beijing today, you would think, so it's not that it's dated, it's still current, but it's like a snapshot of this one moment because it has changed so much. I mean, the last time I was there, they didn't have any freeways, in the city. So now they're, huge freeway. I mean, if you watch the Olympics, right? It's like that was not the city that I used to spend a lot of time in. And I did spend a lot of time there. And it looks completely different. It looks more kind of like Hong Kong or Singapore. That doesn't, and they've torn down a lot of the old parts. So, but when you're out in the countryside, then I would say it's at a much slower rate of change and very slow rate of change.